We've all seen them. From the screens, the awards, the parties, they live the glamorous life. The stars, we adore them. However, when it comes to relationships, they just struggle as much as we do. If you haven't watched the last video of high-profile breakups of stars who ruled the airwaves from the 1960s, 70s and 80s, make sure you check the link up on your screen. And with that, let's continue with our series of high-profile celebrity breakups from the 1980s up to today. Anyone ready for another hunk with a mustache? The year is 1981 and Selleck was making a name for himself as the hot star of Magnum P.I. However, the star was also dealing with being separated from his actress wife, a fact that he just had to mention in all his splashy profiles at the time. In 1982, America's most famous first family, the Kennedys, was in the news when Ted and Joan Kennedy split. In yet another example of the fact that breakups, just like marriages, can be long, the Kennedys had been married for 24 years. After that, they separated for 2 years before having an amicable divorce. Ted Kennedy also withdrew from the 1984 presidential run just before the split was finalized. In 1983, Carly Simon and James Taylor divorced. These two singers and songwriters had made great music in the 11 years that they were together. In fact, some of the music was about each other. However, James Taylor was battling drug addiction. Moreover, there were rumors that he was unfaithful. These two issues led to the couple split in 1983. In 1984, Carrie Fisher and Paul Simon divorced. Fisher's star shined bright after she played Princess Leia in Star Wars. On the other hand, Simon was a music sensation by the time the two tied the knot in 1983. When the two split, Fisher's drug addiction was blamed in part, but in her book, Wishful Drinking, Fisher wrote, "So, Paul and I have a passionate relationship with a lot of words, big words, clever words, or the words got mean, so we got divorced." 1985, Janet Jackson and James DeBarge divorced. The couple had eloped when Jackson was just 18, but they annulled their marriage just after 8 months. There are reports that the relationship had put Janet Jackson's career into jeopardy. At the time of the annulment, Janet Jackson had 2 solo albums out. If you were born in 1986, that's the year that Quincy Jones and Peggy Lipton divorced. This was an amicable split between the music producer and the mod school star, and the two remained friendly, even showing up at events to support their daughter, Rashida Jones. However, according to the People, Lipton had immersed herself into hatha yoga practices and philosophies, and this caused the rift with Quincy Jones. In 1987, the Vogue queen herself, Madonna, and Sean Penn split up. These two were always on the tabloids for their volatile relationship that was filled with bitter jealousy and anger. The People covered the split in details with the headline, "Diary of a Mad Marriage." The article goes into details of all the pair's troubles. In 1988, Eric Clapton and Patty Boyd said bye-bye to their relationship. Clapton's hit, Wonderful Night, is just one of the many songs he wrote about his love for Boyd. However, the union of the two was in rocky parts. In 1986, Clapton fathered a son with Lori Del Santo while still married to Boyd. Boyd stayed with Clapton for a while, but eventually the mistrust became too much and she filed for divorce. As the 1980s came to a close, Mike Iron Tyson and Robin Givens split up. In an interview in 1988 with Barbara Walters, Tyson and Givens addressed the rumors that Tyson had hit Givens repeatedly and Givens was just out to get Tyson's money. These two have had a fair share of backlash from fans from all around the world. However, they seem to have gotten their love together. Tyson makes regular cameo appearances in movies, while Robin Givens usually keeps a low profile. In 1990, Anjelica Huston and Jack Nicholson split up. Huston was Hollywood royalty, all glamour and talent, and Nicholson was a screen star. The pair starred in Prince's Honor and The Postman Always Rings Twice together, making headlines for their love affair. When they finally called it quits in 1990, that's after 17 years of being on and off together, that was truly the end of an era. 1991, Pretty Woman Julia Roberts and Kiefer Sutherland separated. The wedding was already planned, cake and flowers were bought, and the venue was set. But what was missing was runaway bride Pretty Woman Julia Roberts, who called the whole thing off just 3 days before the wedding. Everyone in Hollywood was shocked, but Sutherland remains a gentleman about this event. In a recent interview, he said this: "I think it took a lot of courage amongst all that other stuff to be able to say, I can't do this." That's what he said about Julia Roberts. 1992, Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz separated. The couple had eloped in Vegas in 1987, but had to call it quits in 1992. Still, the two remained great friends and are a shining example of how divorced people should be. In many interviews, Kravitz has been calling Bonet his best friend. 1993, and Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder call it quits. The Edward Scissorhands couple had an exciting and eccentric love affair, but called it off in 1993. After the split, Johnny Depp pulled the legendary move of changing his Winona Forever tattoo into the more accurate We Know Forever. For 1994, Tom Arnold and Roseanne Barr decided to call it quits. Roseanne was a hit, and this meant tales of the couple's heated fights on set. Barr filed for divorce, and the tabloids were awash with stories of Arnold's alleged infidelities with his 24-year-old assistant. By the way, previously, the couple had joked that they were going to marry, in quotes, the 24-year-old assistant. 1995, and it seems that friends were no longer friends. Courtney Cox and Michael Keaton decided to call it quits. Friends had just finished its first season, and Keaton was a big superhero movie star. However, the pair decided to quietly end their relationship after 5.5 years of being together. In 1996, divorce came knocking at the royal palaces. Prince Charles and Princess Diana decided to split up. I don't think there's any breakup that has really shocked the world more than this one. Later on, during an interview, when asked whether Camilla Parker Bowles contributed to the couple's split, Diane replied, "Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Now you know the answer. 1997, and Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow decide to split up. Now this pair was so young, so in love, and so blonde. I mean, just look at them. The two had just starred in the classic 7 and were engaged before they abruptly called it off. We didn't see a lot of drama after the split, and we just know sometimes blondes fall in and out of love. Perhaps this was the case here. 1998, and Matt Damon and Minnie Driver call it quits. The two had just starred in Good Will Hunting in 1997, in which Damon had earned his Best Original Screenplay Oscar. However, it's the breakup that really brought out the drama between the two. During an interview with Oprah, Damon announced that he didn't have a girlfriend. Minnie Driver was so surprised. In fact, in an interview, she said that the whole thing was fantastically inappropriate. Whatever the two were doing, we don't know. 1999, and Brooke Shields and Andre Agassi split up. Brooke Shields had a lot of high-profile relationships, but it seemed like she might have found the perfect nice guy in husband Andre Agassi. That's until the pair split up following rumors that Agassi was a drug abuser. In her memoir, Brooke wrote, He explained to me that for the first whole part of our relationship, he had been addicted to crystal meth. At the dawn of the new millennium, it was Anne H and Ellen DeGeneres splitting up. The two seemed to be so in love right up to the point when they split up. In fact, just a few days before, they had been house hunting together. The announcement came as a huge surprise to everyone. What was even more surprising was H's behavior after the breakup. She wandered into a stranger's home in Fresno, and the stranger had to call the police. When the police arrived, H told them that she was God and she was there to take them to heaven on a spaceship. The officers suspected that H was high on drugs. The 2 decades of the 1980s up to the 2000s proved to be a tough one for some of the stars that we all love and adore. When it comes to relationship, you really never know when you're going to hit it right. If you loved this video, make sure you subscribe and give us a like. Also, make sure you check out the next video where we cut down some of the breakups that stars had to endure from the 2000s up to today.